When me touch down, better broke down.
Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
That's how she became mine and see the
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Kosa. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya.
Ah,
mbare mo ki janna nun kono bara tariya.
Ah, janno yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong labe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kono kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi ma nin domorol dil fana be teat. Gambia dawda yalo ma kum fa kendol sotale je.
Ha e wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Of owning your dream homes, EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links...
Alright.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him. Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions? Yes. But don't you know about Baluwo? Baluwo? What is Baluwo? Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate. Tell me how Baluwo works. It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Hello and welcome to the Brunch on Kerr Fatou. I'm Chan, welcoming you to yet another edition of the program. This week we continue our topic of last week, which is, should the Independent Electoral Commission sit back and wait for health clearance, which they said they are waiting for, or should they start working using, of course, measures as others are doing around the region and even institutions in the country are doing to go about their business. This is important because the key players in our electoral systems, the political parties, commentators, and civic society organizations are all concerned that the current state of affairs with the IEC is a cause for concern, given the fact that they may risk being behind schedule in most of their programs. And with me in this program to discuss this thing is Raffie Diab. Raffie Diab is a member of the Citizen Alliance, and we also have Essa Dampha of the National People's Party, NPP, and we are hoping to have Pate Balde of the National Reconciliation Party, NRP. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Raffie, can you hear me loud and clear?
Thank you for having me. I can hear you loud and clear.
Essa, are you with us? Hello, Essa, can you hear me? Well, it looks like Essa Dampha is having trouble. Getting us. But let's move on, Raffie. Okay, this among other topics is our discussion today. Last week we were here with three political parties who gave us their insights as to how should the electoral cycle looks like. I mean, the electoral calendar was released by the IEC. It told us that they want to do registration of voters, both here and abroad, and they also want to conduct the referendum, and that will also lead us to the 2021 election cycle, the presidential up to 2022. That is the parliamentary and local governments. However, with the advent of the latest emergency regulations, the IEC suspended everything, even the impending by-election in Yamina West, which was almost at the corner, have also been postponed. Now, the question is, should the IEC sit down and wait for health clearance, as they claimed last week, or should they get up and do as other institutions or similar bodies around the region are doing, who are in fact conducting elections as we speak now? Raffie Diab, what is the position of the CA on this issue?
I think the position of the CA is similar to what we are having internally, because if you all know, we are yet to organize our Congress, and it's due to restrictions of COVID. That's why we still cannot hold our Congress. But we internally met, and we decided that since now we don't really know when this thing is going to end, we cannot keep postponing our Congress. The Congress needs to happen. So we are now internally looking into ways of trying to see how to organize the Congress without breaking any rules or any social distancing measures that are put in place to help stop the spread of COVID. So likewise, with the IEC, we believe that other countries are doing it. So for example, I know it cannot happen here, but in the US, they're about to have their elections on the 3rd of November. and they are looking into postal voting. And you can see how Donald Trump is trying to stop that from happening because he knows that that might end up he might end up losing the elections if that happens. But I believe also here, I know we cannot do postal voting, but let us sit down and see the resources they have and try to see how we can hold the elections, because this elections needs to happen whether we like it or not. Other countries are doing it, and I think they should sit down and look how to be responsibly and make sure it is done in a free and fair process. The job of the IEC is to make sure that they conduct elections, and if they're faced with circumstances like this, they should come together, put their heads together, and see a solution for governments to have an elections. That is our opinion.
Now, continuing the topic, they said they are waiting for health clearance. That is, of course, for the Ministry of Health or somebody else, in the emergency committee to say, okay, it is now all right for them to operate, because maybe their concern is that some of their activities may involve calling people to come together en masse. For example, if they are to conduct, nominations, for example, for National Assembly seat in Western Nyamina, that might require, that might call people to come to the regional office there in large numbers. And if, for example, political campaigns are to follow, maybe this is the concern of the IEC. Do you think these concerns are justifiable?
Well, we are living in unprecedented times, and see things like this have never happened before. But other countries are having elections, and COVID is not preventing them from happening. We've seen how South Korea, for example, organized a very successful election, and South Korea was one of the first countries that was hard hit by the COVID. But we saw them organize a very successful elections. Taiwan as well, they organized an election. Malawi, I think, an African country, not long ago, organized elections. So this should not be excuses to stop democracy from going on. These elections need to go, ahead, because these are constitutional requirements that we have as a country. IEC is an independent electoral body. Yes, they have to work sometimes hand in hand with the government, but the government should not be there to stop them from doing what they are mandated to do as an organization, as an institution. So I believe that they should come together, sit down, and the constitution that governs all of us is the one that is paramount, and the government and the IEC should know that. Yes, we have COVID, but life needs to go on, whether we like it or not. And the election needs to happen, because as we speak, Nyamina is not represented in the parliament, and they should have a representative, because the people of Nyamina are also Gambians, just like you and I. So by them not having this by-elections for them, I think it's a disservice to the people of Nyamina, and it's not fair. So whatever happens, people, the America's sport, the biggest sport in America is the American football, and they just started their season on a Friday. But as you can see in the stadiums, instead of allowing 100,000 people as they usually do, they only allow quarter of them to come and social distance and watch the game. So look, let's just not have a blanket ban on things. Let us look at what the situation is and try to mitigate, try to have some solutions that can mitigate the problems that we move forward. That is my opinion.
Okay, I'll cross over to Essa Dampha of the National People's Party, NPP. Essa, if you have been with us, the question is, should the Independent Electoral Commission sit down and wait for health clearance, or should they come up with their own measures so that they can be able to go, with their business? Especially, they have announced a calendar, which they have not even started, and nothing has been done. Do you think the COVID continuous reliance on regulations is justified enough for them to sit back and wait until God knows when?
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham. First and foremost, I need to thank all our viewers, including the studio down there, Fatou, and the entire staff. I'm sorry for the interruption. You've been calling my name by then, but I was having a call that interrupted my participation. I'm sorry for that. To come to the question, Really, being IEC or any other institution, being public or private, we all have to be innovative to learn how to live with COVID. Because according to the advice or the facts that was given from the experts, this pandemic is not going anytime soon that it is expected. So we have to learn how to live with it. We also have to, as I said earlier, we have to be innovative to know, to find ways and means how to, go in our normal businesses, our normal operations. For that of IEC, I think it's best for them to start also to brainstorm, to think how to incorporate this pandemic in their systems. For example, in elections, whenever there's a nominations or any sort of public gatherings, they also have to put in restrictions, like precautionary measures to be taken, being face mask and sanitary materials put in place. Because we've seen Ghana, they are going on their campaign. But now, when they have a town hall like that can go for 100,000 capacity, they downsize it, and also to use virtual means for some of the political activities. But they are training and some other things. They can use virtual means like how many institutes are doing now. For example, UTG, you have more than very close to 10,000 students, but the classes will start on Monday. They find means, basic education. They also come up with something tangible. So it cannot be an excuse for IEC to say we only waiting for health insurance. Of course, yes, health insurance should be respected and should be followed. But for example, if they also have a very tangible alternative that they put it forward to health authorities, that anyway we want to go on our normal business, but this and this and this are the measures that we put in place. So if those measures can serve as preventive measures, then I don't think that the health authority will put any restriction on them. They will give them green light to go away to do their activities as envisaged in their calendar. But if they want to sit down and wait, maybe even 2021 election will not be held, because this pandemic is here to stay. Because
now, I still stay with you. The justification they said is they may be able to take care of the safety of their staff, but they don't want to expose the general public who might think that everything is all right and come en masse in large numbers to take part in politics, in a massive way, which they said might risk them or might expose them to the risk of the virus. So, is this justifiable enough?
We have to. They have to be working in tandem with the all stakeholders. It's not only IEC are the stakeholders when it comes to election in this country. All political parties are major players in that. Now, when you want to hold election, you have to involve all the stakeholders, including political parties. Now, you call them. You say, okay, the safety of our staff is paramount, and we're going to take care of that. But for your supporters, people down there, what are the measures? So, what can we do? That we can work hand in glove to make sure that that also is taken care of. So when they are ready and they saw the readiness to the political party and they call them for a discussion, those political parties also will find means and ways how to talk to their people and how to sensitize them and how to make sure that there's a peaceful and smooth execution of the functions, all the functions. But if you are sitting down, you don't engage them, or you don't call them, you may not know the solutions. If there is no problem, there will be no solution.
Good. You made a good point there, because if the IEC is not doing anything, or the stakeholders you talk about, the political parties, they have a convergence called the inter-party. Is it not their responsibility now to get up and tell the IEC, look, you can no longer hide behind COVID now to delay our election process. Get into action. Is that not doable, Raffie?
Sorry, is that doable what?
Is it not also not the duty of the political parties, the stakeholders, to get up and say, look, IEC, you can no longer rely on, make an excuse, this COVID thing, to sit down and wait until God knows not. I think the parties can do that through the inter-party.
That's certainly very true, and I think that's something that parties should start looking into. But you are right, definitely.
Good. I'm coming to you, Essa. Many people think that perhaps, allegedly, these things suits your party, the National People's Party, because you are yet to organize, and this COVID thing perhaps suits your ambition and intention to organize underneath, so that you can catch up with the organized parties. So is the COVID delay not actually benefiting you?
Really, it's quite contrary. It's quite contrary. It's very catastrophic on our side than any other political party in this country, because you can remember, we have our structures in place, but we are yet to even name our national executive, because just to avoid this convergence and some other gatherings. So we are the party that is most vulnerable when it comes to this pandemic. You know, left to us alone, today, this is going to be a thing of the past. So, because many of our people on our pipeline, they want to decamp. They want to come in large numbers to cross-carpet to our party. We want to make a celebration for them. We want to make a party for them. We want to make a jubilation for them. But that cannot happen. Imagine that happens in Punjur. I can just give a tip of the iceberg. What had happened in Punjur? There's a lady called Mama Kadi Bayo. There's some few women just honorably adopt her as their mother. They went to saw that gracious moment with her. But you can see how people jump in. Many people come in their numbers. So we have a lot of people now. As I speak to you, I have a very bulky list with me. People who want to come and join us and want to celebrate their cross carpeting, but it's just because of this COVID and other activities that on our pipeline. So basically, it's very quite contrary. It's a catastrophic on our side than any other political party in this country.
Oh, so in other words, contrary to what people believe, that perhaps this dilly-dallying on the side of the IEC must have been masterminded by a political master so that they can allow the NPP to organize themselves. You are saying, in fact, you are the most affected because you cannot even put up your structures because of the COVID. Do you agree with that, Raffie?
Well, I really don't know what are the inner workings of what's going on with NPP, but I guess if he says that, then we should believe him that they have thousands of people who want to cross carpet to them. Maybe time will tell. We will all see. But well, I have to say that the COVID has really affected all parties, to be honest, because the elections is just around the corner in 2021, and the incumbent, even though he's an incumbent, but I think there's a lot of work they need to do in order for them to be able to win the hearts and minds of Gambians. And the COVID is, preventing everyone from doing that. So I would have to say that I don't see any advantage, so much advantage that any party will have right now with this crisis, because it's really hampering all our efforts in the works that we've been doing to promote our parties to the Gambian people, for them to be able to decide on who to support.
Now, if somebody is going to ask you, Raffie, still now, exactly the most imminent thing before the IEC is the Nyamina by-election in the parliamentary and the Kerr local government, which they have postponed, which was almost heading to nomination, and they put it off. Now, how do you think they should go about this? Because, people of Nyamina, as has already been highlighted, both you and Dampha, are yearning to be represented. It's been 9 months or so since their National Assembly member passed away, and there still cannot be any way work out for them to have a by-election. If you were, for example, the representative, or you suddenly as CA, you have supporters in Nyamina, what are they telling you that should be done, Nyamina people themselves?
Well, we decided to look between us when this seat was vacant to see if we can put up a candidate. And honestly, we had a lot of people who were interested. So for us, by not having the elections, this could have given us the perfect opportunity to field in the candidate and campaign successfully for that candidate. And if the candidate won, it would have been very good for CA because it would have shown as a new party, as a new kid on the block, what we are capable of doing. But unfortunately, still now, like I said, the people of Nyamina are being disenfranchised to participate in the political, I can say, political field because they are not part of, they are not represented in parliament, which I've said earlier is not fair on the people there. So I believe that there should be concerted efforts made by both government and IEC to make sure that these elections happen. They can come up with various ways and strategies. And also, I believe the political parties themselves, since now we're dealing with the COVID crisis, they will come up with other ways of campaigning rather than just the normal campaign that we see. For example, you guys now, the brunch used to happen in the studio, and all of your parties and your guests used to come over. So, because of the COVID, you cannot continue going offline. You then sat down and said, okay, fine, let's go and see what technology can allow us to make sure this show continues. And here you go. We are all connected and talking to you. So I believe that also the same strategy should happen with the elections. The COVID is here, like Essa said, it's here to stay, and we just have to see how to live with it. If the elections were carried on in a similar way, maybe we can sit down. I am not an election strategist. I don't work in IEC. That is not my job. I am a political party. But I believe that that's their work. They should sit down and strategize on how to come up with the best solution for these elections to go on. Us too, as a party.
Exactly. Essa?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Essa, okay. I'm sure Raffie and the CA are perhaps yet to expand their tentacles up to Nyamina. But the NPP is very much interested in taking that seat from the GDC. So you must have been in touch with the people on the ground. How frustrated are they that this election is still not been held?
This really is a concern for us. But I just want to make some corrections. As you said that we are not yet spreading our tentacles to those communities. I told you last time when I came there, we spoke about this Nyamina by-election issue and other by-election pending. I told you NPP as a political party, we are very much more than ever ready. That now we already put all what is necessary to be on the ground. So we're only waiting for IEC to declare or to proclaim a date for the by-election, and inshallah we will come out victorious. But what I will emphasize, and there should be a room for innovation. If there is no problem, there shouldn't be solution. So we all know something is happening, and it's not going, as I said, it's not going anytime soon. So IEC also should not be left behind. They should also be innovative, and not only IEC, as I said earlier on, all public and private institutions who are really into a serious business should try to learn how to live with this pandemic. Because that is an undesirable visitor that you have in your house, and it's not packed yet to leave your house. So I think you also need to try to innovate to see how best you can cope with it. So that cannot be an excuse. And I'm calling and I'm urging on IEC and any other political parties in the party, as you alluded to before, to come and just engage IEC or IEC to come and just put their head together and make sure they come up with tangible solutions to this problem. People of Nyamina cannot be left disenfranchised of their rights, be left without represented. That is very unfair. So there's no excuse at all. And as a party, NPP, we are very eager to see this by-election, because that can serve as a testing ground for us, or a test match for us before the real game. So we are very eager to see this by-election happens now than any time later.
All right, before we leave the topic of the IEC, recently there have been allegations, that is even before we start, that there are certain people who are allegedly engaged in illegal registration of people by way of volunteering to get ID cards for people, with the intention of perhaps influencing them to acquire voters' cards so that they can vote for their parties. Many people pointed fingers to the NPP because it's the party of the incumbents, the incumbent. Is there any truth in that? Is the NPP trying to go before everybody?
But Mr. Kam, I think the truth is that there's an empirical facts that the party that involved in that one is already exposed. You know, we've seen that all the pictures and the videos and the interviews, even the intervention of the SIS, the State Intelligence Agency or Service, who came out with a report saying that there's a particular party, that is the Democratic Party, who engaged in such action. And the interview that was conducted with one lady, the lady told them that yes, she has seen nothing wrong for them to be giving opportunities to people who cannot just afford to have an ID card, you know, to be issued some cash for them to be going to process their ID card. So as far as NPP is concerned, we really have no idea, or we have no program of such at the moment. Of course, yes, as time goes on, we may look to that. Like, we also have some people, you know, some couples, some women who, you know, that they will also need such kind of an assistance. But we have to get their numbers and their data first before we know how much of them or how much we'll need that assistance financially. But what I will also emphasize here, helping someone to acquire a national document, that does not give you 100% hope that that person will even have a voter's card. If the person also have a voter's card, that cannot give you 100% assurance that the person will vote for you. So, but as citizens of this country, you know, we are bound to be helping each other. Like this COVID period, we've seen parties, individuals, civil society coming rendering the benevolent gestures to the vulnerable peoples. You know, some other political parties engage themselves, giving the sanitary materials and other foodstuffs to the vulnerable families. Yes, of course, to be doing good things to people is also good. Maybe tomorrow also, if you want something from them, they might think otherwise. That is there, but that's not a guaranteed assurance to you that obviously anybody that you help to acquire a national document will be able to vote for you end of the day. Yes.
But don't you think, from whatever party this thing is coming from, don't you think there is a moral question when people connected with politics or political parties suddenly volunteer to help people acquire ID cards? I mean, isn't there any moral question, like suspicion that they probably want to interfere or manipulate them, you know, to coerce them to vote for them? Don't you see anything wrong with that? Whether it's NPP, UDP, or any other party?
Yeah. If you are doing it for a kind of humanitarian assistance, like every citizen of this country above 18, you should acquire a national document. But not that everybody can be able to get $450 or $500. So if you are doing it for that sake, you know, at least supporting them or helping them to have one, that's a good gesture. But you also have an ulterior motive. You are doing it, you know, to intoxicate their minds or to win their hearts, to be there for you. That also left between you and them. Like, for instance, if you want to help somebody as NPP or as any other political party, you go to the person, you say, okay, I'm giving you this money from our party's cover, you know, for you to be able to get the ID card, so that end of the day we can help you to have, or you can go and have voter's card, and end of the day you can vote for us. So if you clearly stated that one to an individual, if the person is with his good common sense or with his clear consent, then he will get to know that either you are giving a service to, or you are giving a helping hand based on because of you are helping, or because you have an ulterior motive. So if the person agreed to give it to take the assistance from you, because you already make your opinions or your what you want exactly clearly to him or her, and he still continue to take the money from you, then you can see that maybe that person might be your supporter. Because we also have diehard supporters who are languishing down there, who are looking for this support, and they cannot have the money. So you can just support your own party members also to acquire one. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, Raffie, you've been off the screen for some time. Actually, what the question is it morally correct, you know, for people connected with political parties suddenly volunteering to pay ID card fees for a lot of people. I mean, isn't there a moral question? Don't they have ulterior motives? Is this really a way that the CA will ascribe to?
You see, this is the reason why CA came into existence, because we've seen from 1965 until right now, they have been doing politics the same way. Politics of patronage. They give you money, and in turn, they want to get something from you. For us, we don't operate in that way. We believe that as a party, what you have to do is go out there, sell your message, sell your policies for the people to buy it. If the people want to follow you, they follow you based on that, but not try to give them incentives and money and stuff like that for them to in turn vote for you. But for us as a party, we will try and have an initiative that we will launch during voter registration. That we want to go out there, inform the voters, the members and people who are in CA that doesn't have voters card, for us to persuade them to go and get their membership cards. But we are not engaged in giving people money and going for them to go and get their national ID card documents, because that is their own personal issues that they need to do for themselves. And we believe a party should not play in any part in trying to give people money to go and get ID cards. That is why we came into politics. We want to leave this politics of patronage, politics of benachin, and all these things. We want to leave it out there, and we want to talk about policies. Politics should be a competition of ideas. I have my idea on how to change the government, on how to change things when I come into government, how to solve problems. NPP have their ideas, UDP have their ideas. We then take that idea, we sell it to the government people. They listen to the ideas. Whatever idea they buy, they then go and vote for that particular party he or she wishes to. Those are the kind of politics that we believe in. That is why we came to politics to change, because 1965 until now is the same thing that we keep on seeing happening over and over again, and we haven't seen anything change. Gambia is still undeveloped. Gambia is still so far backwards behind when you compare them to other African countries, and this is why we want to change things.
That's why, okay, I've been told by viewers that you are not.
And I'm not what?
Network is gone.
Directly facing the camera, so please maintain all the time. Yeah, that's right. I think that's better.
Really.
You heard what Raffie said. The policy of the Citizen Alliance is, to create a radical departure from the politics of patronage, which your party and perhaps the UDP and the GDC, are still guilty of, trying to mobilize people en masse.
Really, I really concur with him. Politics should be the battle of ideas. It should be what can you offer when you are in the office. It should be like that. Everybody should question any political leader or party leader or any political party that comes to you and looking for your vote. You should ask the person, what can you offer? Like, for example, why, first and foremost, why you want to be there? Why you want to occupy that seat? So you have to interrogate them and really know their ideas and their manifestos, their policies and their programs. So you compare it with your own vision. If you ask somebody who have 18 years, really we all know that the person is up to the task to determine, the correct the future of him or her. So it should be like that. It should be battle of ideas. People should compete each other who have a clear-cut manifesto that can address the constraint and the issues that we are facing daily. But nonetheless, one part also, I really have a different view with Raffie, my colleague in the platform, because also you have to lead by example. For example, as a political party, you wanted to be there, you wanted to be at the helm of the affairs. Before you be there, you have to show people that you really have the capacity or a charismatic leadership style that you have. When you are there, you'll be able to serve the interest. And I can see Raffie's party, CA, been rendering some kind of humanitarian assistance to people by giving face masks and even giving some cars to people. They did that one during the COVID. Yes, I've seen that one. They've been going around giving some gestures to the people, being in sanitary materials and other items like this face mask, and even cash to people. So can we call that one you are buying their consent? No, you've seen a vulnerable people who are down there at the street. You have a means, you have something in your hand that you can just help them to improve their life and their livelihood unconditionally. If you are doing it unconditionally, then that is fine. Maybe tomorrow, you don't need to take their numbers. You don't need to take their numbers, to take their details, so that tomorrow you can come back there and just show them, okay, I am the one who came last time and give you.
That's exactly what they are accusing the NPP of. They say wherever you went, you try to collect numbers, perhaps to make a follow.
No, really, that is not what is happening. Anytime when you are leading, or when you are in driving seat, people might throw all sort of stones on you, but that really is not the case. People, you know what had happened? People think that anybody supported Adam Barrow, then you are there because of money. He throw money like shit, and I can bet.
But now, what need do you have in collecting the names of persons you have extended largesse or benevolence to? What is the need to collect their identity?
What I'm saying, we are not engaging in that kind of action. We are not collecting any data from people that we extended our gestures to. We are not even concerned of that. We are none of our agents, our party agents or officials are engaged in that. What are we doing? Our party structures, we just formulated those ones from the grassroots level up to the national level. That is what is at the standstill at the moment. But we are not collecting any names or anything from people that we rendering the humanitarian gestures to them. That is not happening.
All right, Raffie, the NPP man is very generous to your party. He said some of your activities reaching out to people in these trying times very commendable, even though he hopes you are not doing it for the purpose of, okay, remember us when the election comes. he thinks perhaps you are not doing it for that. Now, somebody has said your methods, CA, and this has been said since your inception, that your method, CA, really resembles that of DOE. Do you really, for the interest of the people who might see similarities in your operations, do you think there is any fundamental difference between CA and DOE?
Yes, there is a fundamental difference, because when you look at our constitution, our executive leadership, you can only serve here 2 terms, and that is one of the fundamental differences that CA has with over DOE. We have term limits in our executives, and DOE doesn't have that. And I believe also when our manifesto is out, there will be a slight difference you will see in terms of how we're going to use the resources that the country has in terms of developing and moving forward as a country. So we have similarities, but yes, we have also fundamental differences. And I believe it is those differences that drove a lot of us to form a new party, because before we started, we looked around and we saw that there's no party that really fits in what we believe in, and we come up with something new and something fresh. So yes, that's the difference that we have.
Why I ask this? Because I have had people, clearly genuine political followers who probably are neutral. They said, like you yourself have outlined, that the methods of politics that is present in the other political parties is completely different from you and DOE. Perhaps if CA, with its composition of young intellectuals, could just come behind DOE and they form the, future intelligentsia, perhaps, that really would make a bigger force than, going on your way. Well, actually, you are DOE-inspired intellectuals. Why don't you just own up and follow them to make it bigger, rather than going ahead and trying to rather congest, the political field, when actually you already have, your principles present somewhere 30 years ago?
Well, I have just highlighted the fact of the reason why we came as a party, because we believe that the principles that we share and the principles we have are sometimes fundamentally different from DOE. Like I said, the fixed the term limits that we have for our executives, that's not present in DOE, I believe, because as I could recall, the same leaders that you see in DOE since I was a kid, those are the same leaders I still see now. Since when I was a primary school student, I've been seeing Halifa and Syria and Co. Until now, I'm seeing the same faces. and that's why we came into existence. And I don't know why we should be behind them. Why should we be behind them? I don't see any evidence out there that.
I said it because I have spoken to many people who are observing the scene. They said, well, they think CA, could be better. In fact, because all what they are saying and their methods are present in DOI. NPP, man, Essa, Dampha, can you see any difference between DOI and CA? Essa is unfortunately gone. Okay, but I really made the comparison not to hit you against one another, but I'm really reflecting.
We always do that.
That's right. I'm really reflecting the views of so many observers who have gone. Now, Essa, before we leave this topic, did you yourself in the NPP see any similarity between the methods of DOI and CA as other people, like I've said, have observed?
Yeah, obviously, I have noticed. Maybe that might be our perceptions are different, but me, I have noticed because I have seen some deferral when it comes to some of their ideologies. Because I have seen one time there's a little bit. I cannot call it confrontation, but it happens between Honorable Halifa Sallah and that of my own boss, Dr. Ismail Azize. He's my lecturer, so I call him my boss. Yeah, so really, I can see that there's some similarity, but holistically, if you check, there's a little bit deferral when it comes to their party agenda and activities. So I cannot just say that there's a big similarity between the two.
All right, now let's talk about a major topic that really dominated news in the last week, and that is the government's request to ECOWAS for the extension of West African troops economic in the Gambia. I mean, there have been views from some experts and some other Gambians politicians who said, well, perhaps we should no longer have any need to keep economic here if the government, since 4 years now, have actually been committed to, implement the security reforms, which would have really made their stay, unnecessary. In your view, Essa, Dampha, do you think the government has done enough in terms of security reforms? And do you think we should continue to have economic here until 2021 as requested by President Barrow?
Yeah, first and foremost, we have to notice one thing. They have a mandate that warranted them stepping in the soil of the Gambia. We shouldn't be really alienated that one or forget about that. ECOMIC has a mandate that entitled them to step into this country. Those mandate, there's a terms and reference and conditions, and also they have where to report to. Maybe they might not be reporting to you or me, but they have the authorities that they also always report to. So if those authorities deem it fitting to return them here, and also this is not on our own expense. If it is like it's on our own expense from the taxpayers' money, we have all the right to say, oh, it's unsustainable anymore. But it's full-fledged sponsored by non-Gambians, international organizations. So for us, we shouldn't be bothered much of the longevity of their services in the country. As far as if there is a need, let us move on with our other activities, being political or other social activities, and we leave them alone. They are doing their job, and whenever they think that there is no need for them to stay in this country, I think they will leave their way and go wherever they want to go. Yes.
I have two problems with your that view. One, the monies that are going to their maintenance from the European Union, it forms part of the money that they have given us, to help ourselves in one way or the other. If they are not here, probably that money could have been used in something else. And that's number one. Number two, the president himself, justified their presence based on the work that's currently being done in terms of security reform. He said there is still work to be done, so their presence is justifiable. Now, you are not addressing those issues. My question is, if the president said that work on the security reform is going on, and his critics are saying that if we had done well on that 4 years ago now, we would have not have their need. That's the question.
You know, people have different opinions. People have different opinions, but my own opinion, I think it could be very relevant to the facts that EU, they have their own packages. They have what they budgeted for a security reform program. And the security reform program, EU is fully aware of every bit of it. So if they know there's no political will on that reform agenda, they might not be supportive when it comes to renewing the service of these economic troops in the country. But they know what is at hand because they are informed, they are updated, all the development that is taking place as far as security sector is concerned. And also, yes, President is one of the stakeholders that ECOMIC reported to. So if the President deemed it fitting that it is necessary to keep ECOMIC troop until 2021 or so, then we can leave it at that. Because security reports, they reported to him, not you, not me, not anybody else. So if they have anything that they share in common that can warrant it for them to be here in this country, I think, you know, for us as citizens, all what we are yearning for is to see our country is secured. We live in peaceful environment. We shouldn't be bothered much about the staying of economic troop in this country. Why? What is the state of urgency? In fact, if I may ask a question, why people are eager for economic to go? What is the state of urgency? We should really ask ourselves: is there any assurance? Is there any assurance for the Gambians that okay, the money that is pumping in to the economic troop, maintaining them here, when they have gone, that money will come back to us? If there's any guarantee to that, so that should be something that we also need to concern to. Those money that is allocated to maintain the economic troop in this country, if they are away or they are out, are we going to get that money to other sectors, or is going to be concentrated in other social amenities and other activities? So as far as I am concerned, I don't think there should be any state of urgency to say, let them go, let them this and this. All what we should concern as citizens, peaceful coexistence and peaceful running of our day-to-day politics or our day-to-day activities. That should be the concern of every citizen of this country, as far as I am concerned.
You are not very bothered as to whether the security of the nation in the long term should be in the hands of the Gambian security themselves and not foreign troops. I mean, the question was, why do we need ECOMIC up to now? The president said it's because of security reforms. His critics said he has not done much in that. Otherwise, they would have gone if that was his reason. That was my question. But let's go to Raffie. Raffie, I mean, 4 years now since the security reform should have started, the critics of the government said the recent request for ECOMIC to stay, which actually followed many orders, would not have been necessary if the security reforms have been implemented, you know, with intensity, you know, as other issues have been addressed by this government since 4 years ago. What is the position of CA on that?
Well, we've issued a statement yesterday in regards to this matter. And yes. How ironic that just last week also we saw the vice president giving a send-off to the troops that are going to Darfur, I think. Is that not correct? Yeah. So if our troops, Gambian troops, are able to go and provide peace and security in Darfur, isn't it ironic that in our own country we are having foreign troops that are protecting, that are providing security? That just doesn't make sense, does it? If our troops were that bad to provide security for our country, they wouldn't be needed in Darfur. But our troops are so good that they've been selected to go to Darfur and go and provide security for that country. And I believe it's a spit on their face to not trust them to provide security for us. These are the same troops that have been providing security for Gambia for the past years. So why should not we have the trust in them to provide security for us? Number two, this arrangement that we have is not sustainable. These troops are paid a lot of money. Some of these troops are paid $120 a day to be in the Gambia. Gambia cannot afford that money. Yes, someone else is paying for it, but we are losing our sovereignty based on allowing others to pay for it. That shows that we are not an independent nation. So I believe that this government has failed us in terms of providing the necessary reforms that were needed immediately after Jammeh has left in order for us to be able to provide security for ourselves. Because as an independent nation, the idea of even having foreign troops in your country, it is very unpatriotic for any government to even support that cause. Our country has borders, and our soldiers are sworn to protect those borders against foreign attack and so on. So having foreign troops to be in our country, any patriotic Gambian should not be happy seeing that. I'm not happy seeing Senegalese soldiers going around. Right now, all our security is in their hands. They know all our barracks, inside out. They know all the state house. They know all the secrets of Gambia. So does it not leave us open for occupation of any of these troops in the future if they want? Yes. So I believe that the security reforms that was supposed to happen is not happening at a pace that it's supposed to. And this should be prioritized because at the end of the day, no nation can develop without peace and stability and security. So it has shown the government's unwillingness to trust our security forces in providing security for us. And in my opinion, that is really, really sad.
Yes, Essa, I mean, you heard it. Okay, you might disagree with Raffie on the very reason why ECOMIC came to the Gambia. Okay, we all understood that there was an impasse, and members of the security forces at the time were largely believed,
Let me stand corrected. I am not against them coming to Gambia in the first place. I am against the idea of them remaining here until now. In my opinion, they should have left a long time ago.
Okay, but then the fact remains that they are here because what should have been done, to allow them, what should have been done to make their stay unnecessary is not completed, or nothing has been done about it. That's the contention of the critics of the government. I mean, Essa, how long would you then think that they should continue to stay? Aren't you bothered that perhaps the long-term security, I've said, of the country should rather be in the hands of our soldiers and not foreign soldiers? And don't you agree that anything that we should have done to let them go and be ourselves should have been done?
Okay, thank you very much. And I also have to, I have a bit of argument with my colleague there, Mr. Raffie. Rendering the peacekeeping services or peacekeeping mission that has been long, ongoing when it comes to Gambia as a state. We've been for how long? Even the time that these economic troops are stepping their feet in the Gambia, by then some of our troops are away for peacekeeping mission. So that is ongoing. It has nothing to do with the prolongivity of the economic troops in the Gambia or not. This is a routine. This is happening for so long. So even the day that Gambia was refused to leave this country, by then our people are outside. Why can't we recall them to come and provide security for us? Because we asked economic to give us ECOWAS to give us to evict this man from here.
He doesn't understand what I'm trying to say.
I think what Ray is saying, that if it is a matter of trust or lack of trust in our forces, why did the United Nations continue to trust them and enlisting them over and over to go and keep the peace in Sudan, where in fact they are responsible for the headquarters and VIPs?
Exactly.
No, nobody was saying we don't have trust in our own security personnel. None of us says that one. You cannot see any government official or the president or any part of the government officials who will say we don't have trust in our own security, right? Is that because of people are speculating? But this is a program, and they are here to serve that program. If that program is faded away, then they will leave, and the program is ongoing. The security sector reform is ongoing. It's ongoing process. When it is over, then they will leave. But that doesn't mean that we don't have trust and confidence on our own troops. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. But the fact of the matter stands still, like these people are here based on the mandate. Whenever the mandate elapses, they will go. and they are giving routine reports to the who is necessary their commanders and also their authorities who should be privy to their reports. Not me, not you. For us as citizens, we cannot only speculate to say, the authorities don't have confidence in our soldiers. No, and our soldiers also have nothing bad against the economic troops because they are all functioning in parallel. Security apparatus are in tandem. They are working in tandem. There's not like a hiccup among them or disharmony among them. We never noticed that one. What is there is us politicians or some other people have their own agenda. They can say whatever they feel, like saying, but it doesn't represent anything. So it's not the fact of the matter that we can say government officials or the president or the Gambian authorities don't have trust and confidence to their own security personnel. No, that's not the case.
If they have trust and confidence, we should be seeing Gambians guarding the president, but on the contrary, we always see Senegalese troops guarding the president. So where's the trust and confidence? I may ask.
Yeah, you are asking me that question. That's the good question to answer. Mr. Chow, if you may allow me to answer that one.
Go ahead.
Within the resolution of ECOMIC or ECOWAS countries, if you are privy to their resolutions, why is ECOMIC even here in the first place? Why they are here? First and foremost, they are here to consolidate our democracy. They are not occupation forces. They are here to make sure that our voice prevails. Secondly, they are here to install the president that was elected by our very Gambians. They are here to install him to the power so that he can just exercise his function. Securing him is part of their mandate. To secure him, his personal security is part of their mandate. You understand? So that mandate is still there. It's still there. But does not mean that other apparatus are not within the surrounding.
Okay.
Because
the question is, Dampha, no, everybody agreed about the reason and the good justification why they are here. The question is, how long are they going to continue to stay here? And if the circumstances that existed when they were coming are still existing, what are we doing to remove those circumstances so that their presence will no longer be needed? That's the question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said security sector reform is ongoing process. It's ongoing process. You are into something, then you are trying to capitalize, on the gains and learn from the loopholes that you have to backfeed them and to continue. As far as the security sector reform is over, the economic is no longer needed in this country. They will go. And there's people who are supporting these security sector reform programs. And there's other people who are also supporting the staying of maintaining the economic troops in this country. All those resources cannot be wasted in vain. White men, they are very wise. If they think that there's no serious political willingness in our side, then they will not waste their time. But they never said so. They continue patiently putting their resources, maintaining these people, because they really know they have a very vital information about why and how they can be here. And the progress of the security sector reform is going in a very progressive pace, and is very rapid pace. So we have to exercise all this noise that you are hearing. It's not coming from at their end, but it's only coming from the politicians and other civil society groups who are only exercising their freedom of expression, or to freedom of thought, or to think that this is what is happening or this is what should happen. But they are not privy to certain information. So if you are not privy to certain, you cannot draw the conclusion line. That's what I'm saying.
There are highlighted which might not be very much privy information. For example, they allege that the people who should really have perhaps the competence and the neutrality to preside over the statutory reforms are not being given the opportunity. Instead, people who were, after all, in the thick of things in the past, under the past regime, are definitely the people who are placed back to handle the security reforms. So they believe that these people will not have the enthusiasm or the willingness to carry out security reforms. That's almost certainly going to affect them themselves. Doesn't that make sense?
That is their perception. It really is not what is happening on the ground. You are free to exercise your own view, but it's not what is happening. Now, can they pinpoint to those people who they think that they are among they are within the equation, and now they are not fit in there. Can they pinpoint and say, because we know that everybody is free. If you see Dampha is not fit to be this position, voice it out so that people debate on it. But the selection of all these officials was transparent, was based on the merit, people's character, and their track records. So, and I am just trying to make it categorically clear to you, all those notions or information are incorrect, are only allegations, and the notions are not unfounded.
All right, fantastic. Raffie, what do you make of those criticisms that perhaps why the security reforms is too late, or in fact, according to critics, not actually effectively happening, is because the right people who may be neutral and had not, in quotes, tainted history, are not put in place to carry them out. Instead, you have people who have been all along in the system being asked to conduct or implement the reforms. They believe there's a conflict of interest, so the reforms will either not happen or they will definitely be torpedoed in one way or the other.
You know, one doesn't
no, this is Raffie now. This is Raffie's time now.
Okay, Raffie's time.
One doesn't need to be in government or to be privy with certain information to know what is going on. The fact remains that these economic troops were allowed to come into the country to restore democracy and so on and so forth. Right. But what we're arguing is that they're still here after 4 years. That is evident. You don't need to be in government to know that that's not a secret. And we as citizens of this country, we as taxpayers of this country, we as Gambians have the right to call out the government when we see things that are not going on, that is not right. And that is what every good citizen of this country should do. Because the way things are going is not sustainable. The EU cannot continue to fund this so-called security reforms that they're talking about, which has never happened. You see, the problem is the moment the president came into power, and instead of having a transition agenda, change and have an agenda whereas he wants to prolong his stay in power, this is when all the problems start happening. All the necessary reforms that he was supposed to make was out of the way. So, for example, things that are supposed to be done in the right way, everything now has to be looked into politics. Everything he does is political. So I believe that even the people that he puts in there for the necessary reforms to happen, politics is there to play because he's trying to pander to get a certain group to support him here and there. But if he had a very good intention of actually coming in as a transitional president that we Gambians voted him for and stick to these reforms, I believe these reforms could have been done in less than 2 years because our security forces, majority of them were good people. It was only a handful of them that were doing Jammeh's bidding and doing the killings and all these things that was happening. So all we needed to do was weed out the bad ones, and we have, I can assure you, I've worked with the Gambian Armed Forces for so many years as a private company, and I've worked with so many brilliant, intelligent, educated people in the armed forces. And I believe these people, if given the chance, can really do wonders in the army. We also had partners, the EU, and other countries that were willing to come and really help this government in doing proper reforms of the armed forces. But I can assure you that when they came and saw the way things were going, they were not happy, and they in turn just decided not to bother themselves because they feel that their partner in the government were not serious players in helping for these reforms to go through. If a CA government was there, I can assure you that within 1 year, we would have had the necessary security reforms in place, and these economic forces and all these foreign forces will vacate Gambia, and Gambia remain an independent and a country where it doesn't have any foreign intervention. But we have this case is because there's no willingness and there's no lack of political will to make this happen. Because our president doesn't trust our security forces. As I can say, his security, his internal security setup is done by the Senegalese. If the Senegalese come, yes, they can provide security for the president, but I believe that the inner protection that he's having should be from our people. How do you think our people, our soldiers are feeling, even though the soldiers are not voicing it out? But it's just common sense to have a standing army in Gambia and seeing their commander-in-chief being guarded by someone else. How do you think they'll feel? Obviously, they're not going to feel okay, even if they're not going to voice it out, but we know it's an obvious fact that they're not going to feel good about it, having to see their commander-in-chief being guarded by other security forces from a different country. And yes, it's ironic that we have our troops providing peace and security in other countries, and they cannot provide security for our country. So whether that arrangement was done during Jammeh days or a long time ago, the irony is the fact is what I'm trying to highlight, that we as a country, we are providing security for other countries, but in our own country, we cannot provide security. That's just, that doesn't make sense. If Gambia was in shambles and if our security forces were not good enough to provide security, I don't believe the UN would recognize them to go and provide security for another country. So that is what I'm trying to highlight. So the fact that these security reforms are not over by now is a travesty in the way government went about doing the reforms. And the European Union and whoever is funding these things, it cannot go forever. We are saying Africa should be independent. Africa should start doing things on their own. We are tired and sick of always having to go to the West to rely for them for aid, for money. Africa has the resources to do things on their own, and it should be about time, since 1965, since 1960, until now, many of these African countries have had independence. It's about time we Africans provide ourselves everything that we need. We say we are independent, but we are not showing for it. To be independent is being on your own and not relying on France or the EU to be providing money for people to provide security for your country. And in my opinion, that's very sad, and every patriotic Gambian should work very hard to make sure that doesn't continue.
Now, Mr. Dampha, listening to Raffie, you might disagree with him or trying to accuse him of playing narrow nationalism or being patriotic when it comes to security matters, but you cannot discount the fact that all these reform programs drawn by these coalition governments actually were
really, I will be having some disagreement with my friend there. You know, there is no country in the whole world that is totally independent. You are dependent in one way or the other. So it's an interlink. You cannot be independent country in the whole world. There is no independent country in the whole world. You are dependent in one way or the other. Secondly, when it comes to these reform programs, more importantly, the security sector reform, this is more about policy documents. It's about the way how our security should be conducted, or how they should conduct themselves. How the recruitment.
Yes, Mr. Dampha is apparently not with us now. I don't know whether he can hear us. Hello, Dampha, are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I am back. I am back. I was having a.
He will be with us. Are you there
now?
Yeah,
I am back. Yes, I am back. You know, it has some calls that has interrupted. So what I was saying, this security sector reform you are seeing is more or less is about the policy. Now we all see is.
But finally, Mr.
Security sector reform program is almost at the tail end now. We are at the tail end because you see the performance of our security apparatus, being in the police or in the army, the professionalism that they display from 2017 up to now, when it comes to these demonstrations and other, security, very much high sense of professionalism. That will tell you how serious this security sector reform is all about. It's not about purging people or sacking some soldiers or policemen or imprisoning some people. That is the mandate of TRRC. Security sector reform, they are formulating a working documents that can be here forever, that can serve as a reference or a code of conduct in a short for all our security apparatus, whereby the security cannot, or a particular individual or particular group of people. No, security will be here for the entire nation. There's no political will. I am saying that there is a big political will. Because if EU, we know that EU cannot continue supporting, or these economic things cannot be here forever. But if there is no political will, as my friend is alluded to, then today we will not see any support coming from our donor partners, even when it comes to these reform agendas. But there's a seriousness, there's a real political will and political support attached to these sector reform programs. That's why we still seeing whenever the sanction is requested, is granted, forthwith.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think your point is clear. You are trying to say that if actually there has not been, are you with me now? You are very,
yes.
You are not audible.
Is the
hello? Okay. Your point is clear. Okay. Your point is clear. You're trying to say that if there had not been any seriousness, the partners program,
yes, you are there
have nice and pull out. Okay, Mr. Dampha, I think you're
and that's the Democrats.
It's clear.
You don't expect to have the same view with what you are saying.
Well, I think we have to go to Raffie for the last word because Mr. Dampha is not audible at all. Raffie, he's trying to have. It's not fair to say that security reform is not happening because if that is the case, the partners would have recognized the lack of willingness on the part of the government and pull out. What do you think of that?
I would like to remind him of the fact that even though that we want to have a cordial relationship with all our neighbors, let's not forget that the Senegalese have a lot of influence in ECOWAS, and some of their troops are here in Gambia, part of the economic forces. And obviously, it is their interest to have these troops still in the government. It is in their interest. Senegal is in the interest of Senegal to still have their troops present here, for reasons that we all see. We've seen how in State House now the Senegalese lobby is very influential in there. We've seen how for so many years Senegalese have been looking to have such influence in Gambian politics, and they've already had it in Adama Barrow. We've already seen how we always label the president as Macky Sall's stooge. So yes, we will have international partners that will want to have this going on because Senegal will do the lobby and Senegal will do the bidding for that to continue. And that's what we should see. We are a sovereign nation. We are not part of Senegal. Senegal should be our neighbors. We should have mutual respect for each other. But I believe it is in Senegal's interest to still have these troops remain in power, and they are the ones who are going to be lobbying for that to continue. And it is so sad because, like I said, it is in their interest. Every nation at the end of the day, you're going to lobby for your own interest. And I don't blame Senegal for lobbying their interest because they have their policy towards Gambia and they know what they want. But we don't have any policy towards Senegal. We don't have a policy towards anything. So for them to continue having these troops, yes, the international partners will want to have it because Senegal will be the one who will keep lobbying for that to continue. And that is what I want my gentleman to understand. And all countries are not independent 100%. But I don't believe any country will want to have their own commander-in-chief being guarded by a foreign army. I don't believe any country will want to be independent and have foreign troops present in your own country. You can be independent, fine. You say all countries are not independent, but we understand when it comes to trade and other things, you need to rely on other countries. But there are some certain instances where it comes to your security, when it comes to security of your commander-in-chief, these things are very sensitive and should be Gambian owned, and Gambia should be in the forefront of providing it. There is no country in the world that will surrender its sovereignty like the way we are surrendering our sovereignty right now in the hands of foreign troops. And that is what I want you to understand. And the faster we have these security reforms out of the way, the better for all of us. Because as it stands at the moment, this arrangement we have is not sustainable. And it has to end, and the government troops come back and be in charge of the security and destiny of this country. Dampha, I think our host is gone.
Really, it's gone, and me also. I will go, because as far as they are gone.
Okay, all right.
I cannot keep investing my credit.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So we call it a day. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay, thank you.